pretty decisively in this one.
He has fantastic wrestling and takedowns, so I expect you'd be right, Josh.
Yeah, Tata's really up against it today. He's flew in yesterday and he told me he's only feeling about 50% because he took this on such short notice. He was a replacement for Dean Lister and he's giving up a lot of weight to Pablo.
Early double leg there. You saw the drive on the penetration step from Pablo Popovitch.
Very powerful athlete, looking for that over-under pass, trying to stuff that knee down between his legs so he can pass around to the left.
Of course, Pablo expecting to be taking on Dean Lister originally. Dean, however, a little bit overweight for this encounter. Popovitch looking to get that side control, almost a bit of inverted guard retention from Rios, but back to butterfly guard now. Good work from the adopted Norwegian.
Popovitch shuts down that butterfly guard by keeping his hips tight.
Of course, Pablo Popovitch winning the 2009 ADCCs, beat Marcelo Garcia in Barcelona that night. 3 times world no-gi champ as well, 2007, 2010, and 2012. But a lot of people have said, you know, does his style suit a submission-only game, very much known as a takedown, a pass, and a points player? So perhaps looking to set the record straight tonight.
Indeed, we see he's just past the legs. Going to try to work himself up towards the head of Rios and establish some more control.
Well, Eduardo Rios with a few credentials of his own in the European No-Gi Championships, has won that 3 times, also won the ADCC Euro qualifiers as well, but we had to wonder, would he perhaps get a bit out-muscled by the much more athletic Popovitch? Nick, how do you think Rios' game might be influenced by the fact that a lot of his gym are very, very prominent MMA fighters? The Cage Warriors, current middleweight champion Jack Hermanson, and of course former welterweight title contender Mohsen Bahari, also training out of that gym. So a lot of time in what might be a very different style of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, well, when you're training for MMA, you're really focused on top game, getting off the bottom as quickly as possible and keeping dominant top position. But obviously he's going to have to adjust that here because it's very unlikely he would have started the fight on top against such a big, strong and explosive and experienced fighter in Pablo.
Rios is fighting well from his back, though. He's again created space, which is a very difficult thing to do against someone like Popovitch who's got such tight hips. But again, Popovitch uses that explosive power and dynamic movement to create an angle and look for the pass.
Oh, trying to get to the back, but Rios actually on top for the moment here. Popovitch looking for that De La Riva hook.
Yeah, they're sharing a joke amongst themselves here. I think Pablo went for the back there and Rios did a great job of the scramble to manage to end up on top.
Nice sportsmanship displayed by the two fighters. We all love to see that. That's what jiu-jitsu is all about.
We heard AJ Agazarm earlier give a shout out to how happy he is to be able to travel the world through jiu-jitsu. All these fighters coming from various different neck of the woods to be here in Cardiff tonight and putting on a great show for us and for you at home. Do get involved on Twitter, #Polaris, or in our official chat partner over at Slack, #Jack.slack.com. Of course, this event tonight provided to you by Scramble Tatami Fightwear and Made for Fighters. Really trying to bring a different caliber of jiu-jitsu to the UK and, of course, Europe.
Popo diving in for the deep half. Comes up, Rios shoots.
Easy sprawl for Pablo Popovitch. So fast to get his hips in, and of course so much mass coming down on your head. If that doesn't make you sprawl shy, I don't know what will. Four minutes in here, back to a standing position. See if Popovitch opts to shoot another double. Just collar ties being exchanged at the moment. Both guys fighting toe-to-toe stance, so might change their entries a little bit. Well, Rios switching now.
It's unlikely that Rios has the arsenal of takedown weapons to fight on the feet with Popovitch. I'm surprised he hasn't pulled guard again.
Yeah, certainly not going forward. Popovitch walking him down a little bit at the moment.
definite size discrepancy between these two fighters. Rios is just shadowed when he stands behind Popovitch. We can't even see him. Popovich's back is so wide. Beautiful
You saw how
takedown.
quickly. Look at the knee tap, the rotation on the hips. Almost managed to pass completely to side control in that Barzagar attempt. It just shows you the explosiveness of Pablo Popovitch. Hasn't had the best of showings late in some of the bigger competitions as he perhaps would have liked. ADCCs in 2013 in China not going his way. Losses to Lovato and Keenan. Has been doing jiu-jitsu since he was 5 years old though.
It's very interesting. We keep seeing the same position repeated over and over in almost every single match. This quarter guard slash Z guard slash 93 guard.
Why do you think that is, Nick? Do you think it's it allows the defensive frame with a bit more hip maneuverability, perhaps?
I think it's a combination of that and the fact that it is about halfway through someone's pass attempt. So it's just a natural position that people end up in. The top fighter always wants to place one of his opponent's legs between his to start his pass.
Rios looked for an arm drag momentarily, but Popovitch able to really just one-arm row his way out of that one. But the Brazilian-Norwegian very much in this one as we pass the 6.5-minute mark.
Must be so daunting fighting someone of that athletic capacity. Can just pretty much outmuscle you in every position and has elite jiu-jitsu. Very tough job for Rios tonight, but he's making a good showing of himself.
It certainly is an uphill challenge. I mean, he was very honest and open and said, you know what, I couldn't pass up an opportunity like this, but let's be realistic, I don't have anything to lose by being here. But you never know, you often get those upsets, and I don't think it's too unfair to say, were he to submit Pablo Popovitch today, this would be an upset.
It would be a huge upset indeed. It's why Keenan said when his original opponent was unable to make the fight tonight, he said, I'm only going to fight a well-known fighter because I can understand why he'd say something like that. He's got everything to lose and nothing to gain by fighting a nobody. So
Popovitch gripping his hands around the waist. Staying very tight to Rios here.
yeah, it's not a good position for Rios to be in here. He needs to get some space between his opponent's head and his body. He's using his arm to fish for that space, but Popovitch glued on tight.
And Nick, it's an entirely different type of pressure you need to exert in a no-gi scenario, isn't it? An entirely different type of clinch and squeeze than when you're fighting with a gi.
That's it. You've got to stay really close here. You can see Popovitch hugging around the hips. I'm interested to see if he's going to spool his right leg back to complete the pass, but so far Rios has done an excellent job of guard recovery.
Rios doing a very good job of controlling Popovitch's knee. That's a hallmark of a good half guard. Keeping pressure on that knee, keeping it close to the floor.
Popovitch trying to stack forward, just trying to keep Rios' shoulders on the mat.
It's just like Rios running into a brick wall, though. Everything he's trying, Pablo shutting it down.
Well, I mean, I was going to say earlier, Nick, it's got to be like trying to shoot a double leg on Pablo Popovitch. Must be like getting the entry, connecting your head to the hip, and then just not being able to move, hitting a concrete block. And I've got to imagine it feels much the same having him on top of you here.
Hmm. Popovitch hunting for that head control.
Rios now with the grip around the body, opting to give it up.
Problem is from this position, as soon as his legs open, Popovitch will pass.
And there he goes, looking for that pass, and now trying to get on the wrist. He's got the Kimura grip locked. See if he rolls well, opting to go to the back. Hooks all the way through. Standing position for Rios.
Yeah, Rios looking now to clear at least one hook, but Pablo did a great job of jumping on, sinking both hooks in and That was all off the initial 2-on-1 on the arm, looking for that Kimura attack, which we've seen so much tonight. Final 5 minutes now, guys.
Well, a very dominant position for Pablo Popovitch. See if he looks to flatten Rios out or if he's going to look to try and submit from the top.
Not a good position by any measure for Rios. Be impressive if he can escape from this.
Strong seatbelt hold for Pablo Popovitch.
It's quite a high seatbelt grip. Almost looks as if it's some sort of head and arm starting to appear there. Head and arm choke.
Well, Rios fighting with both hands. Now looking to try and clear the hooks. There's a lot of things he's got to be wary of here.
Surprisingly difficult to finish from the back at the elite level in no gi. Very slippery, very hard to get the control you need to finish your opponent, especially against someone who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, you get predicated with thinking about the head, and all of a sudden they've spun and they're in your guard, or
Exactly right.
so slippery.
Yeah, normally we see it finished once the person on the back manages to trap an arm with his leg, and we saw Pablo attempt that earlier. Let's see if he goes back to it later.
Rios with a very deep shrimp here.
Could be a potential side choke being set up here. Rios is just too wise to it all.
Well, we're down to the final 3 minutes, and anyone questioning Pablo Popovitch's ability to finish, he's got a really good chance to shut them up here. As he fishes through to fight the grips. Wrist control now.
He's got a chin strap grip as well, really cranking on the neck. Rios turns to thwart it.
But you can see if Rios had turned any further, he'd have ended up in mount. Still not a great position, but a bit better than having Pablo Popovitch on your back.
Mount is not as dangerous in no gi as it is in gi, so it would have been a much preferable place to be than Rios is in now. Well, here we go. He's got that sunken
wrist
hook
control.
quite deep. This must be a really tough fight for Rios at this point.
I think we're just going to see this continual grip fighting until either the choke goes in or the time runs out. I think it's going to be very hard for Rios to muster what he needs to get out. Looking for the face crush here.
This is not comfortable for Rios.
No, neck cranks are actually illegal, but I don't believe we have a ruling on face bars.
Rios does well to defend and ride it out.
Pure heart to see himself through that one. Just got to grit it out, accept the pain, but he refuses to tap.
Surprised Popovitch hasn't put on a body triangle. Rios is going to turn, but Popovitch chases the angle. Very good jiu-jitsu.
Goes hunting again for that neck. Been riding very high though on the back here. Right up on the shoulders of Rios. Switching for the armbar. Rios turning in, and as you rightly said earlier, Nick, so slippery. The smallest of errors.
Hats off to Pablo trying that. He knew there was a minute and a half to go, and he took a risk, and that's what I like to see.
Yeah, it's always good to see the fighter going for the submission, even if it means potentially losing the position.
Never really seen the close guard of Pablo Popovitch, and I don't think we're going to here. He's got a minute left. Let's see if he wants to turn up the tempo, try for another takedown. Rios looking for that ankle pick, just not able to secure the grip.
I really like the way Pablo got back to his feet there. Triangle attempt, and then immediately kicked his opponent away, stood back up.
Yeah, he used the threat essentially just as a feint to create the space. Last 30 seconds here. See if somebody opts to go for broke. Well, and Popovitch has another takedown attempt. Slightly stuffed there.
That's 2 in a row for Rios. He's starting to get the timing of Pablo.
Yeah, and I think perhaps all those muscles sucking all that oxygen in for Pablo Popovitch. Last 10 seconds here at the Polaris Pro. And we are going to send this one to a draw, but an entertaining fight as Eduardo Rios tries an arm drag in the dying seconds.
Solid performance by Pablo there, but all credit goes to Eduardo Rios being able to ride out the full 15 minutes.
It's definitely a tough ask of anyone to last 15 minutes in a no-gi match with Pablo Popovitch, and Eduardo Rios did really well. Respect as well, as you said, to Pablo Popovitch for going for the sub when he had control in the back there. Quite an entertaining match.
Okay, so referee making this one an official draw. And then we're going to go to Josh Palmer, speak to both guys, find out how they're feeling.